Nittany Lions had a chance to put a stranglehold on the Big Ten East race with 11 minutes to go, the ball in Ohio State territory, and a 35-20 lead. But they simply couldn't finish the deal, and now the Buckeyes control it all. Here are 4 post-game takes on the Lions' gut punch loss. 1. I was wrong. Ohio State is still a better overall team. Because the schedules really couldn't tell us much, it was hard to know what to think of the relative strengths of Penn State and Ohio State entering this game. But the bye rest before certainly appeared to help the Buckeyes in the second half. And they still have a depth of talent Penn State probably cannot yet match. The longer the game wore on, the more apparent that difference became, especially when defensive end Ryan Buchholz went down on the game's first play from scrimmage, and Ryan Bates followed in the third quarter. The Nittany Lions' deepest unit used to be its defensive line, but that depth has slowly eroded away due to injury, and a lot of D linemen were playing more snaps than they're accustomed to. The sack stats could not have been more misleading. While Trace McSorley was under duress all night and Ohio State quarterback J.T. Barrett could have thrown from a rocking chair most of the game, each was only sacked twice. The stat that did not lie was tackles for loss, and here Ohio State's athletes outclassed the Lions. They amassed a whopping 13 tackles for loss by 12 different defenders for 49 yards. That's Urban Meyer's year after year of top 10 recruiting classes showing up. Penn State still isn't to that caliber yet, and it's understandable. 2. Barkley can't win the Heisman with that all. I said a couple of weeks ago that workaround methods are only band-aid solutions, and that Joe Moorhead has been figuring out ways to finesse a chronic issue with the offensive line that would get the Lions sooner or later. Yesterday it did. When Penn State needed to finish the game in the fourth quarter, it could not generate a real push to open holes for the best back in college football. And even Saquon Barkley couldn't figure out ways to lose 2 or 3 defenders caving in on him at once without any momentum going forward. Given just a step or two, Barkley is lethal. But he can't keep busting plant A or B gap smashes outside when there's so much leakage. The Michigan State game is not likely to be a hell of a lot better with tackle Ryan Bates now dinged up, and maybe Chas Wright and Will Fries forced into duty. Heismans are won against the best teams on the schedule. Suddenly, no matter what Barkley does from here on out, that head-to-head with suddenly relevant J.T. Barrett will be undeniable. Not fair, but that's the way it is. Barrett was kept clean virtually all game. Barkley couldn't find clean air but a handful of times from scrimmage all day. 3. Still not convinced the Big Ten race won't take another twist or two. You will now hear pundits from New Jersey to Nebraska declare the Big Ten East Division race over. Ohio State's display of weaponry and J.T. Barrett's 33 of 39 performance was eye-opening, to be sure. It could well be that the Buckeyes use the 39-38 win over Penn State as a springboard for the rest of the season, a confidence booster much like PSU's 24-21 win over them last year. But if there's one thing about Ohio State that's been consistent, it's been their sloppiness, especially for an Urban Meyer team. They are the most penalized team in the Big Ten by a large margin, 75 yards per game, and the trend almost killed them against Penn State. It's not every day you see a team win yardage 529-283 and need a miracle comeback to win. Mistakes plague OSU, and I wonder if they'll lay an egg either at Iowa or against Michigan State before they even have to go to Ann Arbor. 4. The Lions still don't have a go-to receiver. I thought maybe Deshaun Hamilton had taken that mantle after last week, but he was shut down by what's been an erratic Ohio State secondary with just 1 catch for 13 yards, that being the first quarter touchdown pass from Trace McSorley that put SU up 13-0. Hamilton's name was not called again all day. I think wideout is one position where committee is not the best way. You need an alpha dog who demands attention and coverage over the top, and then you work out from there. The Lions simply don't have that guy. Juwan Johnson is the one man with the ability to become that sort of threat, but he's not been dominant in any one game. When the Lions needed somebody to get open and make a catch late to move the sticks, they didn't really have anyone.